Alrighty guys, so before we get started, I just have a few safety points for everyone to learn before we go into the arena. So first of all, very important that none of you enter the arena, the stables or the paddock unless you have a support worker with you or unless you have myself or our assistant Ali with you, okay? That's important. So if the horse is not tied up, we definitely don't go in. Again, you wait for one of the workers here. And if the horse, while you're at the fence, because I can see some of you guys are leaning up on the fence, you're a bit eager to meet the horses. If any of the horses start nibbling on your clothes or anything like that, just simply move away. And when you are in with the horses and you have them on a lead, and one of them starts nibbling at you, just give the rope a bit of a shake and they should move away. So if a horse has its head down, like if it's eating or if it's having a drink, it's really important that we know not to lean over the horse's head or neck, because just like if I was tying my shoes and you were to lean over and look at something on the back of my neck, I wouldn't know that you're there. So I lift my head up and I'd probably clock you in the nose, which would hurt a bit. So we don't want to do that. When we do approach the horse, when we come in here, guys, what we like to do is called the horseman's handshake. So we have our hand like this because horses like to smell and they like to assess if we're safe for them. It's a really good idea when you say that first hello. Actually, every time you come up to the horse, it's a really good idea to take one of those big deep breaths out, because that calms your energy and it lets the horse know that you're safe for them. And then when we pat the horse, we just raise our hand nice and slow. Because like if someone walked up to you and just went, you'd be like, what? So understandably, the horses might be a little bit freaked out if we did that to them. So after they smell our hand, we'll just slowly lift our hand to give them a pat on the face. We'd never put our hand like this because they could accidentally think it's a carrot. They've got a long way from their eye down to their mouth, so they can't always see properly what's under their nose. So they might accidentally think it's a carrot, and we don't want that. When we are leading the horses, or even if you're just standing with the horse and you're holding the lead rope, I don't want you to have it wrapped around your hand, just because if, like, say one of those branches in the trees cracked, the horse could just pull away, because just like us, we'd freak out. We'd be like, whoa, that was unexpected. And if the horse's lead is connected to the head and they yank their head, it could hurt your hand if you have the lead wrapped around it. So we never wrap the lead around our hand. We hold it like this and we wrap our hand around the lead. Okay? Our hand around the lead, not the lead around our hand. Has everyone got that? Our hand around the lead. Yes. Okay. When we do approach the horses, it's important not to approach them from behind. Just like if you were to run up behind me, I'd probably freak out and be like, ah! Except they have a leg back there. So we don't want you to get flicked. So it's a really good idea when you do approach them, you approach them from, like say this is the horse. You approach them from the front, or you approach them from an angle towards their front shoulder where their front legs are, just so that they know that they're safe and they can see where you're coming from, who's coming and what's going on. Okay. When we need to move around the horse, like when you're giving them a brush and it's time to go and brush the other side, we just put our hand on their rump like this and we walk nice and close around their bottom, so that like if there was a fly at the same time that we were doing that we wouldn't get hurt if the horse was to flick the fly. If you're not comfortable walking that close behind, we just walk a long way behind. Okay. Again, while we're in the arena and the horses are tied up, I don't want anyone standing between the horses. Like say Yogi's set up here and then Larry's set up there. If it's a bit close, I don't want you guys standing between there, okay? Because these guys live together, so they're like siblings, kind of like how brothers will just randomly just like at each other, you know, just being silly, like flick each other. Like in the arm or something like that. So horses are very similar in like sibling relationships, and we don't want you to be in the middle if they're being a bit silly towards each other. When we're walking with the horses, sorry, my leg's a bit sore. When we're walking with the horses or standing with them, it's a good idea, it's actually preferred that we're at least an arm's length away from the side of the horse, just because, again, like if one of the branches fell or something and the horse was to freak out, just like we probably would, we just don't want them to bump into you. And we don't want them to accidentally stand on our feet either, even when they're not getting a fright. Again, their eye is a long way from their foot, and they have 4 feet to keep track of. So if we're walking too close with them, they might accidentally stand on one of ours, and we don't want that, and neither does the horse. So keeping about an arm's length. It's okay when we're grooming them and we need to get in nice and close to their body, or we're giving them a hug around the neck and the chest. That's okay. We can get close then. We're just not going to spend a lot of the time around the horse being that close. When we are leading the horses, we don't want any lead dragging on the ground. So like I'm showing you here, we hold the lead in 2 hands, definitely not wrapping it around our hand, just in 2 hands, and we gather up the length in this hand if it's a long lead. We just don't want it dragging on the ground so that we don't trip and so that the horse doesn't trip. Okay, just that simple. And lastly, if your horse is walking too fast or standing too close to you, just give the rope a bit of a wiggle. Probably take a deep breath first, let it out, and then give the rope a wiggle, because sometimes, just like us, horses can get distracted and we need to remind them what we're doing. And that's all our safety points, guys. Alrighty guys, we're now going to learn about the 4 different personality types, their strengths and their weaknesses, and how we can read other personality types by their body language. And then we're going to learn how we can respond to them. So if you could get your booklet that we've handed you at the start of the session today and open the first page, you can see the 4 horses in the animation here. So we've got Sunny, Larry, Mindy and Yogi. These are the 4 different personality types that we've put into an animation, so it's a bit easier to understand. So keeping in mind during this that we're going to be thinking about what kind of personality traits we pick up that we might be, and that we're all a mixture of the personalities. We all have all 4 personalities, different traits, but that we normally have about 2 that are the particular really strong personality types in us. So while you're listening, just think about what personality types you might be. So first up we have the Sunnies, also known as the choleric personality type. The natural leaders, ambitious. Their body language can be very bold, as you can see from the photo here. Big body language. And they can get frustrated easily in situations when things aren't being done the way that they think it should be done. And they're straight to the point when they're talking. Often people can see them as blunt and a bit rude, and they're not trying to be. They're just hyper-focused. So next we have the Larrys. As you can see, Larry's standing here, just chill, relaxed. They're quite a mixture of relaxed but also organized, very logical and analytical. They find their identity in their achievements, and they can be quite defensive when someone could be appearing to be questioning their strategies and how they got those achievements. Next to Larry in the photo, you can see we have our Mindy. Mindy's known as a melancholic personality type. You can see from the animation that Mindy's body language is showing that she's feeling a little bit intimidated. She's quite shy. Not so sure of herself. Mindy's can be intimidated by bold personalities like Sunny's. And then they tend to experience anxiety when they're around those personalities. Mindy's strengths are are her tendencies to nurture and care for others and being sensitive to others' feelings. And last but not least, we have the cool dude of the pack. We have Yogi, off to the side, leaning against a tree, staring at something on the ground. So, our beautiful Logis, they're also known as the sanguine personality type. They're often motivators, encouragers, they're very outgoing, often known as the class clown or the joker at school. And yogis can come across as having a bit of a flippant, like, whatever attitude. And some other people can see it as disrespectful, but it's not. He's just, like, ridiculously laid back. So, again, we all have a mixture of these personalities. But which personalities come out in us stronger when we're under pressure? What is our natural impulse, like our natural response under pressure? If we're being confronted in a tense situation, do you step into the situation and, like, confidently speak your mind, or do you remove yourself from the situation because you feel a bit intimidated by how big it is? Do you find it easy to tell people no or yes? Are you a yes person? Or do you find it quite easy to say no, put up your boundaries? So let's learn a bit more, deeper breakdown of each of these personality types so that you can learn about which one you might think you are and what your strengths and weaknesses are. Side note, I'm sorry for my dog huffing in the background noise. He's literally investigating the wall because he's Inspector Rex, because he has a beautiful German Shepherd nose. Sorry about that noise. It's all good. It's safe in here. Okay. So let's learn more about each of these personality types so that you can think about which ones you are. We'll break it down a bit more and how we can help each other. Like I said, strengths and weaknesses for each personality type, and often my weakness is your strength and we can help each other out there. For example, like where Sunny gets frustrated, it's one of the illustrations in this book, actually. Let me just find it. So on page 4 or 5, you can see Sunny's getting a bit PO'd. He's frustrated. And so Mindy, the quiet, calm, reserved one, she's actually the one who's calm in the situation, and she can remind Sunny to take a deep breath, a couple deep breaths, and stop him, well, encourage him to not say something hurtful in his frustration. So guys, just remember, as I'm going through these personality types, like I said, strengths and weaknesses, each of us have them. No one is better than the other. We are all flawed human beings. We all have potential to become better versions of ourselves. And all of us, no matter our personality type, we can all contribute well to the world around us. So let's learn how we can understand each other's personality types and communicate well using this knowledge. So, Sunnies often display this kind of body language. Very loud, very big, probably lots of hands, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Just quiet, loud, big personality. They're ambitious. They take lead in situations, quite outgoing, not daunted by many things, and very task-focused. Also known as no BS. Very straight to the point, straight down the line, let's get it done. And this can often come across as quite dominating to other people. Sunny's very energetic and have lots of passion about what they're focused on, take lead, take charge. They're great at making quick, important decisions in situations where something needs to happen straight away. They're really good at weighing things up and seeing what needs to be done first, what's the priority, and in particularly where an authority is needed. Like where one person particularly needs to take the lead. And this boldness, this confidence can often intimidate introverted personality types like Mindy's and Larry's. So I think I said Sunnies are quite blunt. They can come across as blunt. They're very decided in their responses to other people. And yeah, like I said, other personalities can find them intimidating, but it's just that they're straight to the point and they're straight down the line. And because they're so task focused, they can often not have the capacity to empathize with other people's feelings. Whatever sunnies are doing, it's almost always that they're doing something with a purpose. They're naturally just focused on the end result, and they don't really care about what other people think. Lots of leaders in the world are sunnies. When under pressure, they can come across as dominant and demanding in their frustration, like, come on, we should have had this done by now, thinking that they know a better way to do it. But when they're calm, they're loyal, they're protective and reliable, and they make good decisions. So sunnies live their lives as that their role is to make others feel safe, to protect others. If you have a look in your booklet at this page here, you can see all 4 horses have gone for a bike ride. Of course, Sunny's leading the pack because he's out to protect, and he's noticed a big hole in the road. So he's gotten off his bike using big personality kind of body language, and he's like, stop, look out, it's dangerous. He's very loyal, he's very protective of his friends. It just doesn't always come across in the best way. But his life's mission is to look after others. Okay, next, our Larrys. Larrys are what's called a phlegmatic, weird word I know, phlegmatic personality type. They're often relaxed and quiet in their demeanour, as you can see by how Larry's standing back on this page. They're just chilling. It's like, yep, sweet as. Yep, just quiet in his demeanour. Steady, reserved, very consistent kind of personality, like who you know who to expect when you see them. They're actually, even though they're quiet, they're people-oriented. They're very easygoing, make logical decisions, curious about how things work, and very observant to detail. So they're really good at organising and planning. It's often like the friend who's like, I'm laughing because I'm guilty of it, the friend who has like made an itinerary of a spontaneous road trip because they want to get the best out of it. Larrys, again, because they're calm, they're really good at mediating a situation because they have that calm demeanour, and they often get along well with people because they're not, people aren't assuming that they're trying to intimidate them or dominate them because they're so laid back. Larrys love having a routine and paying great attention to detail, great at persevering at tasks, like they want to get it done and get it done well. But Larrys don't like confrontation. They can often become defensive when pushed, and like they feel uncomfortable and nervous when they're under pressure. When Larrys are calm, they're fun, loving, sensitive to others, and can actually like be quite confident when they're in their element. And Larrys like to make others feel secure by being prepared. That's his safety net. Next we have Mindy, who's also known as the melancholic personality type. If you have a look at Mindy's body language, she's, kind of closed in on herself. Kind of doesn't seem that she's very sure of herself. So Mindy's are typically, the melancholic is typically quite reserved and introverted, very thoughtful, very deep thinkers. Very thoughtful of others, very empathetic, very strong in their integrity, like their moral compass. They know what's wrong, they know what's right. They're very selfless, very creative, very artistic. And they can also be perfectionists when they get their mind focused on something. They're also very conscientious, well organised, determined to make the right decision, and often fearful when they get it, like if they're going to get it wrong. Yes. They often struggle to uphold their boundaries and end up saying yes when they needed to say no to people when people ask them to do something. And I think I've already shared, they often feel intimidated by the extroverted, big, loud body language and very confident, authoritative kind of personality types, also known as the extrovert. Yeah, very sensitive, very empathetic, always putting themselves in other people's shoes to think about how they would be coping. Really, they're a bit of a wallflower, but they see the other wallflowers in the room. Yeah, deep thinkers to a fault often, and when under pressure they can be like quite anxious, get some anxiety, fearful, often tend to shut down, like their mind kind of just freezes and their boundaries tend to drop, because like fight, flight and freeze, they often tend to freeze and they're just like, okay, you know. But when they're calm, Mandy's are super loving and caring. Their passion in life is to make others feel cared for and seen. Typically people who are like nurses, kindy teachers, youth workers, people who are just, they might be quiet, but they really love other people. Last but not least, we have our yogis, also known as the sanguine personality. Yogis are very fun-loving and adventurous, very sociable, people-oriented and outgoing. Their tank doesn't get filled by alone time, like their emotional tank. Their emotional tank gets filled by being around others and enjoying social gatherings. Very extroverted, life of the party, person dancing on the table, coming up with ideas for more adventures. Very easy to talk to, feels like you've known him forever. Like really easy to open up to, feel like you've made a new friend. The thing is, yogis can be so people focused that they often end up running late because they don't realize the time. They're just chatting away, and they tend to get bored easily because they, like, if they have to do something that's not socially engaging with someone else, often their attention span lasts longer when they're focusing on something they're really interested in, or they get to do it with other people. Whereas if they had to do like an assignment on their own, often their brain just ping pongs. As an ADHD person, I can attest to that. Often they get sidetracked. Yeah, I just said that. They get sidetracked and they switch focuses quickly. When they're under pressure, they can withdraw from the situation, and just kind of change focus. And you're just kind of like, why aren't you helping? Because they just tend to withdraw. They don't know what to do, because their strength is just with communicating with people and they love it. Yogis are really great encouragers. When they see people that need some encouragement, some help to step out of their shells, as we can see on the illustration, where Yogi is helping Larry get out of a funk. Larry's on the couch somewhere in this booklet, and we're getting there. Yeah, almost at the end of the booklet. Larry's in a funk and Yogi's like, bro, you can do this. Let's go outside and do something that helps get your brain off of what you're upset about. We can just get outside because getting outside helps us. He's really good at helping bring others out of their shells, and yeah, just the life of the party. So that's the breakdown of the 4 personality types, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how they respond to pressure. So let's take some time to make this a safe place while we're discussing about what personality type we think we are. Like I said, there is like no personality that doesn't have a flaw, and every personality has a strength. We all have something to contribute to the world. So after we talk about, like, each of us talks about what personality type we think we are and why, and what points we relate to, we'll then discuss some strategies to help each personality type communicate. Alrighty, so for some reason I can't send this to my phone so that I can edit it. So here is the recording. Kalia is doing the voiceover. Kalia is also doing the course.
Here's the parking space, and the new cabin and toilet facilities will just be behind there, and we'll show you in a later snippet where the current toilet is. And here's the entrance to the stables and arena.
The friendly. You can see it was quite windy. Abby's half asleep. This is very early on in our training. It's a lot smoother now. Leading. Is very responsive. Alrighty, and the jelly belly breathing.
Alright, so we're just going to look up into the paddock. We stand with our feet shoulder width apart. Breathe out through. So when you're leading the ponies later, you're going to control them with the same energy as you did. We're going to relax our hands, rock our weight back into our heels, and we're going to close our eyes. It's only going to take about 3 minutes. So breathing in through your nose. And holding it, breathing out through our mouth. We're going to let it flop in our belly, like a bowl of jelly. Let it flop, relax our bodies. We're going to breathe in through our nose again, and hold it. Let your belly flop, out through the mouth. I'm just going to stop. So, if you open your eyes slowly, you can choose a rock or a piece of straw on the ground or something like that. We're going to practice breathing in through our nose again, nice and slow. Hold it and let your belly flop. And breathing out through the mouth. Let your belly flop like a bowl of jelly. We're going to loosen our knees a little bit. Let them relax, relaxing our hands, relaxing the shoulders. Keep looking at that on the floor. Breathing in through your nose again. And breathing out all the way up. There, like a bowl of tea. Nice and relaxed. Okay. So we're going to go back to normal breathing now. So still, we're letting our belly flop. Normal breathing. So focus on what you can hear. You can hear the wind in the trees. You can hear the goat making lots of noise. We're going to slowly bring our eyes up. Big breath out. How does that feel?
Yeah,
Really relaxed? That's good. That's how we need to feel when we're approaching the horses, because they can feel that energy. Yeah, okay. Awesome, we can get started.
yeah, that's good, I think.